All right, so a lot of questions on how to use Google Forms. So if you go into your Drive, you can either do new Google Forms from here, or you can go into the waffle and click more and go into Forms here. Either way, both get you into Google Forms. Now, what's really nice is that Google Forms has different templates to use, and you can choose theirs. Um, I like to get my own pictures, and I can show you how to upload that. So, this I usually use for any Bill Nye quizzes that I give my students. Here's looking at you, kid. So, you can just go create a blank document, and then if you go to the palette, there we go. And you click on the image icon. You have different images that you can choose, and then it will change your document, jazz it up a bit. So we're going to call this quiz Getting to Know You. Quiz that you can use at the beginning of the year, or maybe if you get new classes halfway through the semester. If you click where it's up here, where it says blank quiz, it usually automatically changes your title. I guess mine isn't doing that today. And there we go. And then give it some sort of description. Now, one of the first things I always put in is last name, comma, first name. This helps when you put it into a Google Sheets and you want to alpha sort it because, as you know, when you go to put grades into IQ, it is last name first, then first name. So, last name, comma, first name, and you'll notice that it just changed it from a multiple choice to a short answer. So it's already recognized that this is information, not something that's going to be graded. And I press that it's required. So a student can't fill out or submit this form without at least answering this one first. Then you click this add question button. And the next one that I usually do is period number. And so I do 2. I press the down arrow, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. So those are the class periods that I have. Now, you have 2 options. You can either make this all one form or you can chunk it. And when you chunk it, you add a section. So what will happen with what the student will see is they'll see these 2 sections and then they have to hit next and then they go into questions. So this is good for quizzes that maybe you're doing just vocabulary words. So that whole section just has to deal with vocabulary. The next section is just true or false questions. Sections are really good for this. For this one, because I don't really need to chunk it up, I'm just going to put another question. How old are you? And because I teach 7th grade, I know that they're either going to be 10, 11, 12, and possibly 13, depending on where they are in life. And then I can put other, which has already done it for me. And again, I want to make sure I go back, put that as required. Certain questions, if they don't want to answer them, I'm fine with that. So I'm not going to make this one something that they have to answer. And you just keep going. One nice thing about Google Forms is it saves automatically. So I'm going to go to one of my previously used tests. So whenever you're editing in edit mode, you're going to get questions and you're going to get responses. So I've already had 66 students respond to this test. So again, I have their first name or last name and then first name, their period number. Now, what's new to Google Forms is that you can set this up as an answer, as a quiz. So it used to be you would have to take the test yourself. You would have to mark yourself as the answer key. Well, now when it only works with multiple choice. Now you can actually do put in the correct responses as you go along, and you can also put how many points this is worth. So if I want to edit the question, I'd edit and then it let me. But I marked that the gene that always shows itself is called the blank gene, the dominant gene. So I've already marked that as the correct answer. And so what happens this way, like I said, it has to be multiple choice, is when a student is done, I've set it up to where the students, hold on, where the students get their grade immediately after they have pressed submit. So they can see what questions they missed, they can see what the correct answers were for that question, and they can see how many points it was worth. So this gives them immediate feedback. But I don't always want to do multiple choice tests. Sometimes I want to have fill in a short answer or paragraph. So let's see here. I believe this one is. So this one, oops. So this one, they're practicing adding and subtracting integers. So what I would do for this one is I would have to take this myself. And I'm not sure if I've actually taken this test. So I got to look real quick. No, I haven't. So what I have to do is go into Classroom. And we'll just quickly add this assignment because this was an old assignment. And then attach it. And there it is. Hit add and assign. Now, normally you could put a due date and a topic, but what's going to happen is as soon as I answer these questions, I'm going to delete it because this was something that my students already received this year. So I'm going to click assign. And so now you'll see that the responses part isn't up here. That's because I'm actually taking the quiz. And I still have to choose something. So this would be -12. This would be -4. 14. 3. -4. 20. -8. -35. Having and 4 and Oh my, I might actually have to write this down. That's a positive. That's a negative. So that would be 8. I want to double check my work real quick. See how my mental math is doing. Ooh, it is 38. All right. And then we have 4 plus 9, 13, 18, 16 is our answer, and submit. Okay, now I have this where they can submit more than one response. Usually I'll have it set up that they can only submit one response. And to do that, I have to go back to where I can edit, and in settings, limit to one response. And then that way it prevents them from entering it multiple times. So we can see there 33 went to 34, which means that my results got added. And now I'm going to create a spreadsheet. And I usually just keep it as a title. Create. All right. So here are all the different answers that we got. And there is an add-on. So you go where it says add-on. And you would, if you don't have Flubaroo already, you would go to get add-ons and a pop-up window would come up. And then you would just type in Flubaroo. And here's Flubaroo right here. So I didn't actually have to type anything in. But I already have Flubaroo. So I'm going to go to Flubaroo and enable Flubaroo on this sheet. Okay. For instructions how to start, click here. I don't need to. Maybe I do. Great assignment. There we go. This part takes a bit. So here it's saying that it's identifying the student, identifying the period, and then these are all going to be normal grading. Now, occasionally there might be an answer that a student has put it in a different way, but it's still correct. So what you could do is grade by hand. So when you grade, and so we'll make this one a grade by hand. So now it's asking me to tell me which one is my answer key. So I'm going to go to where it says bird A, and I'm going to click that, and I'm going to hit continue. And now it's grading my assignment. All right. So it has been graded, but I still have that one that's grade by hand. So I'm going to go back up to my add-ons, I'm going to Flubaroo, and I'm going to do grade questions by hand. All right. So if we remember that 56 minus 17, because positive times negative is a negative, is going to give us 39. So I'm looking for 39, and I can enter notes, and I can tell them it was 39. So they didn't get any points correct. Set grade, and I'll go on to the next student. He got it correct, 1 point, go on to the next. Now, really the only time I would use the grade by hand feature would be for short answers or essays, especially the paragraph, or especially the essays, just because, students don't write the same. They're not going to use the same wording. And I would go all the way through. And you can skip students. For this one, I only have it. This would list all of the different grade by hand questions that I have. But I only have the one, so it's only going to list the one. And you'll notice that right here, my point values are going in. Oops. I'm a bit confused on that one. So this is a way where you can use Flubaroo for where it grades everything for you, and questions where you might have to do some hand grading yourself. So I'm going to exit out this because I've actually already graded this. And then if you go all the way, it'll tell you what their percentage is. And if I go to column B, because that's the column that has all of my names, and I go sort A to Z, and then I go over here and I sort A to Z, now I have my students in alphabetical order, and all of my fourth period students are together, and then alphabetical order and all of my fifth period students are together. So when I go into IQ, I can just go all the way down. So that is grading using forms. If you have any questions, send me an email and I will address them. Thank you.